Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up tonight, how to age intelligently. We will find out how to keep our brains sharp. That's coming up. First tonight, the growing economy, low interest rates, rising temperatures make for a prime season for buying or selling real estate. Joining us tonight to answer your home buying questions are Craig Northrup of Long & Foster Real Estate and Lindley Cronin with Prosperity Mortgage. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
So what's happening, Craig? I'm hearing stories, reading stories about overheating real estate sales in California. Multiple bidders, things selling in 5 seconds.
Yes.
What's going on here?
Hot, hot, hot. It's amazing. I call it amazing.
Crazy hot or hot?
I'd say on the temperature is the right venture there. I would not say crazy yet. I'd say excellently hot. And meaning that if you have a property, we're getting multiple offers and we're getting at least the full price. So the really hot is when you get multiple contracts with over asking price, and I think we're on that edge. We're getting some that are getting multiple offers, but ultimately at least the sellers are getting at least what they want, and they're getting it very clean. Some of them are coming with no appraisal contingencies, some are coming with no home inspections. Again, some of these markets we saw in 2003, 2 and 3. Now everybody asked me, Craig, is this the 2005 market? Listen, the 2005 market we really don't want, even though it sounded good, because there was a lot of different lending was a lot easier back then, but also it was people couldn't afford their own houses. So you don't want the market to go that kind of way. You want it to steady grow and grow so that you and you're sitting in your home in River Hill and areas like that grow steadily, 5% a year thereof, and so that basically the economy and the product on the market can remain low.
When a seller comes to you, when you're talking to buyers, do they have realistic expectations? And you work around the state now.
All the states.
Do the sellers have a realistic idea what the house is worth? Do the buyers have a realistic idea what they're going to need to spend these days?
I think the seller has much more realistic values because of the things that we've gone through in the last couple of years, with the recessionary times. And I think the buyers are understanding that they must spend the money because there's not as much alternative selection. So the theory is if you find what you like, spend the money. I always use this fact that if my wife wants the home and we like it, she's going to buy it. It doesn't become a value proposition only just to get us in. Because value is really what somebody's willing to spend, and the buyer that finds the home that is of their choice. My recommendation right now is don't wait for the next one because that it may not come for a little bit of time with our limited inventory.
So, Lindley, the mortgage side, when things were overheated, anybody could qualify with no paperwork and zero down. We're not back to that, are we?
Not at all. Not at all. We're still making sure we want to know what you've been doing for the last 2 years, that you have stable employment, and that you're going to be able to repay that loan. So we're not putting anybody in super risky products anymore at all. Everything is, going through underwriting, making sure that everything's looking good and everything lines up.
What are rates like? It looks like maybe a little bit better than if you go back a couple of months, but up from last year.
Yeah, I think that they're better than we thought at this point. That the rates are basically in the low 4s right now.
We were worried that they were going to increase a lot better, and fortunately they've held their own, which is great because you get a lot of people that say, should I wait to sell my house? And the ultimate thing is the answer is if you wait, maybe you get a little bit more money, but if the interest rates go up by 1%, people can't afford it. So
let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about real estate, mortgages, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. So what does it take to qualify to buy a house these days? What kind of credit score are you looking for?
We're looking for a minimum credit score of at least a 600. It's ideal to be above at least a 640. The higher, the better. The rates and everything tied to it is all risk-based. They're going to be looking at that on a broad spectrum, making sure that you're going to be able to qualify and
Do people have a realistic idea of how much money you're going to need to put down, what percentage down payment you're going to need to buy a house?
Yeah, absolutely. Before people are going out with Craig looking for homes, or going out and they want to know what they're going to have to spend. So that's what I do. I do a lot of the upfront work and making sure that they're informed with exactly that, what their payment's going to look like, that they're going to have enough cash that they're going to need, how we need to structure the offer to make it work so that they're prepared and they know going into it that they're going to be able to do it.
Let's grab a phone call. Baltimore County, this is Kay. Kay, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm finding it very, very frustrating to try to find a home in another state where the market is really hot before I sell my house. And the house that I want to buy is going to be about 75% of the value of the home that I currently own. And I'm trying to figure out why I'm being asked to jump through lots of hoops and have lots of cash on hand if I already own a home free and clear and I want to buy a new one.
Wow.
Should I use a mortgage broker or what should I do?
How far away are you moving, if we can ask?
I'm moving to Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Great. Listen on TV. We'll get you an answer. What would you do?
I would say, you're going to have to qualify. Obviously, if you own the home free and clear, you're going to have to still qualify with the taxes that you're responsible for the year and for the insurance for that property. So for the next property, depending on if that's going to be your primary residence or if that's going to be an investment property, that's going to really drive the down payment and how much money that you're going to need. So if you don't have the money saved at this point and you need it to get it out of your current home, you're obviously going to need to sell that first.
It's like the opposite of being house poor. This is like house rich.
Well, one of the things that people always, in this market, having a contingent contract kind of weakens your buying power, regardless of area. So my suggestion is to go ahead and get the house sort of marketed, get it on the market, and sell it with what they call a 30-day house of choice contingency. So what I mean by that is you as a seller, I would sell your home, and let's say you haven't located where you're looking to go, but you want to maximize your value because of limited inventory right now, sell the home at certain value right now and make it contingent. The buyer will wait 30 days for you to find a house of choice. If you don't find a house of choice, you don't have to sell that house. It's a thing we had back in the 2003-04 market, and people were fine with it because if no one moves, it doesn't allow the evolution of selling and buying of homes. So ultimately, the goal is let's take care of that, because if you find the house that you love and can't buy it, it's worse than finding a house and not finding a house at all.
So a couple times now we've talked about these parallels to 10 years ago plus, right, when things were overheated. I've been hearing radio ads for house flippers, use my house flipping system. Does that concern you at all? Do you see a lot of flipping, and does that concern you? It
doesn't concern me. You are seeing, what I do see is people going in and making some investment of properties and fixing them up. A lot of more buyers of as-is properties than I've ever seen. So they're going in and finding these houses that, are 1920s, 80s, I'm just using dates, but, dated homes. And they're going in and they're modernizing with really economical. You got to say, you can fix up a house pretty economical now. You fix it up, and then all of a sudden now you've improved the value just cosmetically. It's not a lot of structure to have to go on. So you are seeing that in the marketplace. And improving it. Does it affect our market? Well, certainly I like to sell them the house, and I like to resell their house. So for me, on that side, my goal is their goal. If I can get them, if I can make it work for both parties, then everyone's happy.
Let's grab a phone call. Carroll County, this is Jessica. Jessica, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm curious about, I'm seeing all of these sort of mega houses or mega improvements. What about a simple rancher? I have a simple rancher, not a big rancher, 24 by 44, 3-bedroom. We couldn't finish the basement because of the recession, 2 layoffs in 7 years, but we managed to dig our heels in and economize and hold on to our land. And I have over 5 acres, but I don't have money to fix anything up. My driveway, like many people's driveways, when the blizzards hit and everything else, you go to your homeowner's insurance, and they're like, that's not going to get covered. Well, my driveway's 700 feet long,
so,
and it's
Jessica,
a corkscrew.
What can we do for you?
Well, I'm just curious, what would a property like that go for, and would I have to fix everything up to even sell it?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for calling. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So the answer there is, first of all, ranchers are in demand a lot right now. They're not needing to finish basements, so you're okay there. There are ways that you can not finish the basement and seal the basements now. It's called a sealant that makes it feel more finished, which is very economical. Or, but that's the largest right sizing year in history. So a lot of people want one-level homes. You know, the 5 acres, it depends on the land.
Because society's getting older, the ranchers back in style.
No question. Ranchers are definitely back in style, so you actually have a very demandable property in a very demandable area with a very demandable land. So I don't believe the condition of your property is as important as the location and or value of what you're sitting on. So my answer is call me.
If you're selling that property and you know the driveway is a mess for whatever reason, do you tell people that up front?
So we have contractors and 50 cents on the dollar that can help there that we could recommend, and they wouldn't have to pay it till settlement. So ultimately, it could be taken out of the proceeds of the house if we had to do that.
Interesting.
So you don't have to put any money up, and that would help in that situation, especially if that driveway would make them more money. The ultimate goal is right now is the best time. May is the #1 best month in real estate. You know, hence why you asked me in here today, because you knew that.
Total coincidence.
I knew you'd do that. So, #1 best month in real estate. You know, best time to get your house there on the market. There's limited inventory, low interest rates. Hence the, Lindley next to me on that will tell you about a little more. But really, the goal is let's come out. I always say we're not looking to buy it. We're just looking to help you sell it. So let us see how we can get past some of these hurdles.
Let's grab a phone call. Baltimore County. This is Dave. Dave, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Dave in Middle River. We got wiped out by Isabel back in '03. We got a SBA disaster loan, 2.5% interest, and we still have about $140,000 left on the mortgage. Should we pay that off, or should we just keep making those payments?
The disaster loan or the mortgage or both?
Should we pay off the disaster loan, which is $140,000 in principal, or should we just keep making those payments each month until we pay it all off?
And you're not selling anytime soon?
No, we're just we're fat, dumb, and happy in our house.
Sounds great. Dave, we'll get you an answer on TV. Thank you. What would you do?
So he has the first mortgage and a disaster loan second.
Right.
Probably ideally go ahead and pay off that disaster loan if that's in the cards for you. Keep that first mortgage so that you get the tax benefit and the write-off there.
Are you seeing much in the way of refinance activity at this point? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that most people that needed to refinance really tried to get it out of the way last year. But of course, there's always situations where people need to refinance to get somebody off of a mortgage, divorcing situations, moving up situations, cash out refinances to use some of that equity to maybe purchase another home. So yes, there's definitely still out there.
Craig, are we back to normal levels of foreclosure, short sales, that kind of thing?
You don't see much of short sales. It's kind of interesting. The short sales have really, really, really minimized. Foreclosures, you still have that opportunity there if people are looking at it. In fact, I was just talking to somebody in the studio here about looking at foreclosures. We have a foreclosure specialist, so that's still very much happening because there's a lot of backlog of banks. But short sales have really minimized. You're not seeing that at all. And, and biggest question I get, and I think Lindley may want to answer that, is do I need 20% down to buy a house? I mean, what are the sort of the down payment requirements now?
Yeah, I feel like the 20% down payment is the most common misconception that we run into across the board. We do loans with as little, for first-time buyers, with as little as 3% down. Even for move-up buyers, 3.5% to 5% down.
Could you have done that 5 years ago, or are things getting looser?
We're definitely seeing the credit criteria loosen a little bit here. So yeah, we're coming up with some creative products. Even on the super expensive homes, the jumbo products, we're even getting away with less than 20% down on those.
If you don't have the greatest credit, though, you have building programs to build their credit up, right? Which
Absolutely.
is another great thing.
Yeah, we help customers with credit rebuilding all the time.
All right, let's take a phone call. This is going to test your Maryland real estate knowledge. Garrett County, this is Helen. Helen, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, I have 2.5 acres of ground in Baltimore County across from Sagamore Forest Farm.
Beautiful.
And it has a well and perk and utilities. I haven't put it on the market, but I've been told that real estate was somewhat slow because of the poor school system. Could you give me some feedback on that?
We'll get you an answer. Thank you very much. So it wasn't Garrett County. It was
no, that was
our backyard.
Right, yes, and actually playing certainly a chirp there. But the answer is, first of all, land. Let's just deal with the question at hand. Is that land has no value, affected value of location. Land is in demand. So you got a ready-going house to build. So my point is I have a lot of not only builders, but buyers that really want to build their own dream home. And 2 acres right there, she's sitting on a very nice nest egg. And I don't think schools have any influence whatsoever for her selling that lot.
Very good. Craig, Lindley, thank you very much for the time.
Well, my pleasure. It was a
Do
true
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Good to
Thank
see you again.
Yes,
Coming
thank
up
you.
tonight, Aging Intelligently. We'll be right back.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
What happens in Japan and Asia matters to me. With NHK World's newsroom in Tokyo, I get the news live from Japan right at the start of my day.
New ideas come out of Asia all the time. NHK Newsline reports on business, technology, and world events from Tokyo to Bangkok.
Once in the morning gives me a heads up on the competition.
Every hour on the hour, the news I want from Asia.
Watch NHK World now on Comcast Channel 268 and Verizon Channel 480.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
And joining us for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Peter Crino, Professor of Neurology at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Chair of the Department of Neurology at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Jeff. It's good to be here.
I saw in the notes, and this was very disconcerting, that our brains begin to lose function after age 50.
That is true. So as you age and get beyond the age of about 40 to 50, certain things change in the brain. The number of neurons diminishes. Our brain is comprised of millions of nerve cells called neurons. These begin to diminish in number over time. Moreover, the way the neurons connect and talk to one another also begins to diminish over time. And this is just part of the normal aging process.
You say that completely unconcerned, like a guy who has not hit 50 yet.
I have indeed hit that mark. I have indeed.
All right. Have you noticed anything?
I have. So what I've noticed is what many individuals will notice over the age of 50 is the appearance of the so-called senior moment, when you can't think of the name of a movie or a place you've been, and then for no particular reason, 5 minutes later, it suddenly pops back into your head.
What's going on there?
Well, so a lot of people are concerned that the senior moment suggests that you may have early Alzheimer's disease or a type of dementia. And it's really not true. It's actually very common for individuals over the age of 50 to begin to experience difficulties putting names to things. And it's largely because, let's face it, our 50-plus-year-old brains are fairly crowded with information.
We're so much smarter than we used to be, too.
Absolutely. We're clearly getting wiser as we get older.
So, how can somebody maximize their abilities over time? Knowing that we're racing uphill a little bit, what can we do?
So there's very good evidence that cognitive function, memory, abstract reasoning can be maintained much the way you would keep your body in shape by working out or running or swimming. Doing exercises with your mind can actually help to keep your mind sharp, to diminish the frequency of seizure moments, and actually to forestall the onset of certain dementing illnesses such as Alzheimer's disease. So examples of things you can do in your 50s and 60s and 70s is learn to play a new musical instrument, learn a new language, keep yourself active by doing crossword puzzles or other cognitive games of skill. do things that are going to keep your mind sharp and are going to require you to use all the faculties that you have, there's very good evidence that that will keep your mind pretty healthy.
A lot of people out there doing crossword puzzles in the hope, not for enjoyment necessarily, but in the hope that it's going to have long-term benefits. What is the evidence?
So there is some evidence that keeping your brain active with cognitive performance will essentially allow the connections between the nerve cells to stay viable, so that nerve cells can continue to talk to each other effectively. And really, that's the substance of what our cognitive behavior is. Amazingly, there's also very good evidence that a moderate amount of physical exercise also helps brain activity, also helps with brain health, and can make you feel sharp and keep your memory crisp.
We hear dementia and Alzheimer's used almost interchangeably. Are they?
So they're not quite interchangeable. So dementia is a very broad term that refers to a progressive decline in a number of spheres of neurological functions, which include memory, abstract reasoning, thinking, rationality, and sometimes even behavior. There are many different types of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia in the United States and indeed probably worldwide, affecting more than 10% of adults over the age of 65. There are also vascular dementias, traumatic dementias, and other genetic forms as well.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for the neurologist, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen, or tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. So if what's happening is sort of a biological process, we still have all the brain cells, it's a matter of the connections. Is there anything medically or even nutritionally, supplements, that would truly make a difference?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no quick fixes for this, and there is no way that we have any kind of simple pill that you can take that's going to make brain function be preserved during age. However, there's very good evidence that changing our behaviors can affect our mental function and our cognitive performance. So simple things like not smoking cigarettes, watching our weight and avoiding obesity, keeping ourselves active, eating a heart-healthy diet, such as a diet low in saturated fats, the Mediterranean diet, can absolutely be associated with improvements in cognitive performance and really just sustaining your overall performance as you get into your 70s and 80s.
Who is most susceptible, in addition to somebody who's not getting any stimulus and maybe no exercise and not eating right? I mean, are there different socioeconomic groups or ethnic groups that are more susceptible to these problems?
Sure, no, that's a good question. It's very clear that individuals who have high blood pressure or hypertension, have hypercholesterolemia, so elevated amounts of cholesterol in the blood, who have obesity, who smoke cigarettes, and who use alcohol excessively. Basically, there are damaging effects on the central nervous system, on the brain, that lead to compromises in brain function. Interestingly, the incidence of dementia is higher in women than it is in men. Part of that is just because women live a little bit longer than men, so the disease can present itself. But there may be other factors as well. So there's clearly some susceptibilities across patients. The other area that's very interesting is that there are certain genetic conditions, gene mutations in genes known as presenilin-1 or amyloid precursor protein, that can cause very early onset Alzheimer's disease, even in the 40s and 50s. Lastly, there are so-called risk genes, which are basically genes that you have that give you or confer a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. And the one that's been in the press very often is a gene called ApoE4. If you have this gene, you don't necessarily have a future with Alzheimer's disease, but your risk is much higher.
Let's take a phone call in Montgomery County. This is Yvonne. Yvonne, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, I work a night shift for the last 3 years or so. I've noticed a drastic decrease in memory particularly in the last year. I know I'm not getting enough sleep, but does lack of sleep accelerate the memory loss?
Great question. Thank you very much.
That is indeed a great question. And it is a true statement that sleep is vitally important for our normal intact cognitive function. And we all have had the experience when we haven't had adequate amounts of sleep. It's easy to forget things. It's easy to sort of not be as sharp as we ought to be. And so, yes, having appropriate what's called sleep hygiene, which is basically getting the standard 7-8 hours of sleep at night and resting, not staying up crazy late hours and then trying to get up and go to work and, drink 5 cups of coffee. It's clearly better for your brain health.
One more call. Caroline County, this is CJ. CJ, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call. I have my mother and my mother's sister have Alzheimer's. I'm 66, and I'm concerned about my proclivity for Alzheimer's. Is there any trials or anything that I can get involved with to see whether it's a problem?
Thank you so much for the call. Got to be a common situation.
Very common situation. So the presence of a primary relative, so a grandparent, a parent, or a sibling who has Alzheimer's disease does indeed confer a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. The critical issue really for the caller is, are you having changes in your cognitive function that are interfering with your daily activity? Indeed, one of the heralding features of dementia is that the progressive change in your cognitive function begins to really make your activities of daily living not quite feasible anymore. You can't balance your checkbook. You can't drive your car because you get lost. You have difficulty with social engagements.
At that point, do people know there's something going on? Or do you tend to try to ignore it?
Yeah, well, a lot of people do. A lot of people say, maybe I'm just tired, maybe I'm just overworked. But the truth of the matter is that if listeners and viewers think that there are changes in your brain function that are affecting how you do your activities of daily living, so you just can't do what you normally used to be able to do, it's at least worthy of a question to your primary care doctor and maybe even an evaluation by a neurologist.
Dr. Peter Crino, University of Maryland School of Medicine, University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you very much for the visit.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, Maryland's expanding presence in the world of cybersecurity. We'll find out where the jobs are and how fast they're growing. Join us Thursday at 7:30. For all of us at MPT, thanks for watching and have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.